sure you remember. And he serves on the AICPA's National Commission on Inclusion and Diversity Task Force. He is also, this year,
Norman Wong. I'm from the Fresno chapter. I'm one of your vice chairs in the board of directors. I'm a partner at Dunn Jeffries Ernst & Wong, a small firm in Fresno. I've been doing public accounting for 25 years.
Hello, I'm Yusuf Balogun with the Channel County. I'm a partner with the firm Wall Company in Bolero, which is part of UCSB. And like the team, I represent the western part of Africa. I'm from Nigeria. So,
Thank you, Yusuf. So as a way of background, my public accounting career started in 73 through 80. And I don't feel like I was never openly discriminated against. But there were certain, shall we say, invisible signs that when you analyze those invisible signs 10, 20 years later, I realized that I was a little different. I'm very proud to be a CPA. I always tell people everything that I feel I've accomplished. My wife would disagree with that. It's because I'm a CPA. She thinks she deserves a lot of that credit. Be that as it may. So I'm very proud of my CPA career. I'm very proud of my CPA profession. And I always stand out and say I'm a CPA. But there were certain things that we could have improved over the years. There are certain things that we as a profession can do better. So starting with Kathy, my question to you is, in your path to become a CPA, did you encounter any challenges with regards to becoming a CPA that you feel you can share with the group?
I'll start off by sharing a conversation that I had with a friend in college, another accounting student. We were friends, and I was licensed in Texas. I'm originally from Texas. Go Cowboys this weekend. We need it. And we were having a conversation regarding affirmative action in Texas, and I went to the University of Texas, and we, minorities, African Americans, were less than about 2% of the student body when I was there. And in that conversation, my friend made a comment, and she said, well, one of the reasons that we got in or got accepted was because of affirmative action. And I remember aggressively stating back to her, well, I got in because according to the rules of the state of Texas, if you graduate the top 10% of your class, the University of Texas have to accept you. So I realized that I was offended that she thought the only reason that I got there was because I was a minority and because of affirmative action. I got there because I did the work and I deserved to be there. So that's one of the things I kind of like to highlight. And like you, Ed, I can't recall any overt objections to me becoming a CPA. I just have experiences where when I do tell people that I am a CPA or that I was a candidate for CPA, because I was a minority, people tended to look or think twice, or some people, not everybody, but, oh really? You know, that's a good thing, like it's outside of the norm, and it should be the norm. It should be, okay, that's what we want to do.
So while Kathy was talking, I was thinking about some of the experiences that I had as a young professional, and I can remember the guys leaving in mass to go play golf, and they would do the whole 18 rounds, and they would never take any of us gals. Now there were a bunch of us at my first firm, that would go and play 9 holes, but we would start at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, because God forbid if we didn't get all our work done before we could play 9 holes at all. So some of those things, happened where it was sort of a old boys network, and the women were not included. I can remember some conversations before, the older partner, male partners would ask, so when are you going to get married and have babies? That was, and I find sometimes that I even do that now with some of my staff, kind of groan when they get pregnant, it's like, oh, I'm going to lose them. But, we've also learned how to be very flexible with our female professionals so they can work at home and do the things, to be a good mom and be a good dad, even with some of our guys, so that we don't lose the talent, that they still can continue their career. But it was mostly just, sort of being excluded from some of the old boys stuff, and that's changed over the years. It's a long time ago.
So, Chris, let me jump in before. Andrea just reminded me, I've just recently taken up golf, and Steve Wimmers would disagree with that because he's a good golfer. I'm a lousy golfer. But it just reminded me, I never got invited to play golf when I was in public accounting, and I guess, now that I think forward, it's just raw memories of guys going out to the golf course and not inviting them. And it's not so much that I want you to think, oh, poor Ed. I want you to think of the unconscious, another takeaway, the unconscious bias, whether it's golf, bowling, or whatever activity, where you might be excluding other people. And I think that's what it's about, is diversity and inclusion. So, again, it's the unconscious bias that creeps out into our daily life. Sorry, Chris.
So when I first entered public accounting, we went through a series of interviews at different firms, and one of the questions I was asked was, if you are hired, do you expect to make partner? So, well, I know, this is staff, I haven't even passed one leg of the exam yet, but of course, that's what you want to do. That's what you're here to do. But in going into it, they knew I was older than everybody else. This is a second career for me. And when I look back at our staff and see how young they were, there was no overt discrimination, but they gladly opened their arms and took a chance on me. And I think that's something that speaks for the way things have changed since we had mandatory partner retirement at 65. So if I did the math all the way out to becoming senior manager and so on and so forth, there's clearly no way I would be able to do the buyout that it would take to become partner. But they hired me anyway. And I just wanted to give kind of a positive spin on diversity, and also show that it's not only gender, it's not only race, but it can also be age discrimination as well.
I think I was really fortunate because the firm that I interviewed with, one of the partners was Chinese, as I am. So right there was a plus, same ethnic background and so forth. So I really didn't see or feel any types of barriers of entrance into the profession. It was only later that when I became partner and went to acquire some practices from retiring CPAs who were predominantly white Caucasian, and their clientele is, the look you get from the clients the first time they see you, and it's not, what they picture, and I think we've all done that, picture since when we actually see them. It's like, oh, now I'm on the defensive where now I have to do my best to sell myself to prove to them that, I'm capable.
So my journey is a little bit different. I grew up predominantly in the majority black society, chose to come out to school here. And the fascinating aspect of that is I knew where I was in my society growing up. I knew where I belonged. And coming here was a total culture shock in the sense that, well, where I saw people that were in the same school of similar background because we're in the same school, studying the same things. The challenge was over the years it became there was perceived, maybe it was perceived indifference, was just a little bit of times it just seems like you weren't being included in certain things. And being that I chose this was no big deal. Okay, you don't want to go with me, I'll make up my own team. I'll find my own friends, and along the way I developed very wonderful friends of, if you want to say, with white persuasion. So it's not equally for every single person, but what I'm trying to say is that when you consciously do something, and my skin was a little bit tougher, just now this was what the expectation was, so this was my journey, and this is the journey I chose, and it's worked out so well.
So one of the things that we wanted to accomplish today is to have in essence, a little starter, a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of an opener for what we call conversations about race, conversations about diversity and inclusion. We all have encountered challenges, difficulties, unconscious bias, and the best way to tackle them is to be aware of them. So I jokingly told the panel I wasn't going to have a trick question, but they know I lie a lot. So would you like to add anything else you want to share in regards to conversations about race or any unconscious bias? They're not expecting this, by the way, so I'm totally getting them by surprise. Go ahead, Andrew.
So I was just looking at my notes, and there was situations when I started in my career where the women partners were really rough to work for because they really wanted to emulate men. I think that has changed, and I made a conscientious decision not to be, you know, I don't want to use the B word, but you get it. So the role models, as a young woman professional weren't very good originally, and that was something that we sort of had to make up on our own through the 80s. And I think for the most part, we've done a pretty good job of, you know, being a little more inclusive and kind-hearted and understanding of our new staff and not, you know, trying to drive them out of this profession. So, but just being a better role model.
One of the things, one of our questions here was how can Cal CPA help drive the profession to a better place with diversity and inclusion? What I thought about was, you know, I don't know how many of you heard the Cal CPA radio ads out there. So if we could maybe focus on certain target markets, like do an ad in Spanish or in Cantonese or Mandarin or Farsi, whatever language, and hit that market and introduce those communities to, you know, the Cal CPA profession and why hire a CPA, you know, to help you in your business. And then one more thing, see, it got me thinking, you know, really hard listening. I don't know how many of you are staying at the hotel, but as I checked in last night, my room faces Century Boulevard. First thing I do when I look out the window, I see Taco Bell. Because I go, great, Taco Bell. But the next thing I see, there's this big billboard out there from Google Android. And their new slogan is called, "Be together, not the same." So I was thinking, how can that apply to us? Well, together, we're all CPAs here, but yet we're not all the same. We're from different backgrounds, different ethnicities. We're in different professions too. Some are from public, private, you know, governmental, so forth. But yet we all work together.
Well, I think the biggest thing is us asking people of different diversity. I mean, just be curious enough. I mean, looking at this room, I mean, it's always challenging when I walk into this room and I'm one of 5 faces that look like myself. So just calling on somebody else, come along. It was somebody asking me, that's how I got involved. So, you know, you want to be here? Yeah, let's go check it out. Just asking, and they might not be ready, but they might be ready. So just take that one step further to just ask, do the ask.
And Yusuf is right, in that conversations about race start with the individual. Start asking about what is so different about you? What are the commonalities? Because, like Norman said, we're all CPAs. You know, we have so much more in common. But we're all different. We come from different backgrounds, ethnicities, walks of life, social strata. I think other Yusuf and I mean, we're foreigners. So we come from different lands. You know, some of us are not accustomed to people looking in the eye. It's an acquired trait. It's an American trait. It's a sign of disrespect in a lot of cultures. It's a sign of challenge when you look at people in the eye. So there's a lot of little nuances that are better addressed if you ask people, you know, help me out here. Let's talk about why are you so different and how can we communicate better. So we wanted to start conversations about race, wanted to expose you a little bit about the ACPA Diversity and Inclusion Commission. I want to thank you for the support you've expressed in regards to the commission. I want to thank you for the time. Are there any questions? Now, the panel is not expecting questions, so we may have to improvise a little bit. Do we have time for questions? Do we have any questions? Don't jump in at the same time, please. Yes, please go to the microphone.
I think Kathy brought up the issue of affirmative action, and I think it's a very slippery slope, just for what you mentioned, because people will think that you've achieved something just based on that. And I remember I do volunteer work with needy kids. It's inner city outings. It's part of the Sierra Club, and we go on hikes and stuff. And most of the kids are minority, but both the teacher and I both espouse the same thing about affirmative action, that it not be race-based, but economically based, so that poor kids of any background would be given an opportunity. I mean, for example, my wife and I are in the process of adopting an African-American boy. There's no reason he should get any special treatment based on, what he'll be, the economic level that he's at. But so I guess my question is, do we have a position on affirmative action, and if so, what is it?
Well, I can't speak in regards to Cal CPA, but I can tell you that in regards to the AICPA, it has nothing to do with affirmative action. This has to do with the preservation, the maintenance of the profession, our inability to produce enough staff, our inability to promote minorities, qualified minorities in the profession. It has a lot to do with our inability to provide opportunities to other minorities. So there is nothing about affirmative action. It is totally about a business case. It has been proven that companies that are diverse in their workforce generate higher revenues. It isn't your debt. I don't remember the name of the source, but the AICPA has researched it. And we are all about the business of supporting and maintaining the profession. That's what it is about. It is not about advancing one minority group over another. It has nothing to do with it. It has a lot to do with the ability to provide opportunities for everybody, regardless of ethnicity or gender.
And if I may, I'd like to share another quick story. I shared with everybody that most of my experience has been in the newspaper industry, and I was fortunate to work for a major national newspaper chain. This was years ago, I won't tell my age, but they're in the process of consolidating some of their offices. This chain had offices in 26 states across the country, and they consolidated some of them, and there was a controller in each one of those offices. And the general manager that I was working for, when he gave me the plan, he stated that actually you will become the controller of both the Houston office and the New Orleans office because you have the CPA versus the other controller. So there are smart business people out there. There is a business case and a value proposition to people of all races, all cultures to get their CPA. I think that the challenge we have is making sure that we sell that value proposition based on what inclusion will do for your future, not based on some type of a quota system or what some people may believe or may not believe. That there's smart business people out there.
Thanks, Adam, for the call. Anyway, I just want to echo your point.
Who are you, sir?
Thank you, Ed. I'm Gordon Ramsey, a member of the Education Foundation Board of Trustees. I represent the East Bay chapter. And I just want to echo your thoughts around the fact that it's really a business imperative. And, I speak from the perspective of, I work for President today. We're a very large healthcare organization. We are basically $56 billion in revenue. And we spend hundreds of $millions with various consultants doing work for us, all doing for and several other organizations as well. And for us, when we're looking at the talent that we're bringing into our organization to help us with various issues, initiatives, and things of that nature, we're looking for organizations who look like we do as an organization. And we don't have a majority in our organization, which we're very proud of. You know, the fact that everyone represented at our table is important to us. And last year, we actually this year, we joined the $1 Billion Roundtable from a diversity perspective, which is an organization that spends over $1 billion a year annual spend with diverse organizations. So it gets back to the point that you're making, that it is truly a business imperative that we as a profession are looking to hire, promote, retain talent of all people so that we can continue to do the great work that we do in our profession. So I echo you or applaud you and the panel for being up there and to bring this point to the attention of our body. Thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Vic Cristobal from Los Angeles chapter. I just want to share to you my experience being a CPA. I'm proud to be a CPA. Most of my clients are 70% American, white American. And I look at me, I have an accent, I speak like this, but everybody, I always...
Sorry, I don't detect that.
But the fact that, I know people were afraid of diversification and look at my color and everything. But the thing is, if you are a good CPA, you're a trusted advisor, everybody will come to you. Because people will listen to you if you know what you're talking about. If you're saving them a lot of money, they will come to you and say, she is good. So I got all my referrals, mostly, as I said, American, white American. I have 15% Spanish because Cristobal, if they saw this, Cristobal is Spanish, And I have 10% Filipinos, and I'm Filipino. So you can just imagine, it doesn't matter what color you are. You have to be a good CPA, and you're gonna get your name will be there if you are maintaining your integrity. You're a trust advisor, and you are a Cal CPA member. Remember the advertisement? You have to hire a CPA who's a member of Cal CPA. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, we encourage you to log into the AICPA website on diversity and inclusion. We have a great toolkit there. My recommendation is that you put your firm to the toolkit. All the information will remain confidential. Your firm's name, your business name will not be disclosed to anybody. So where you stand on the diversity and inclusion scale will be totally, kept out of the public's eye. So I encourage you to do that. There's a book that I have in my briefcase called Whistling Vivaldi. I encourage you to read that. It talks a lot about unconscious bias. And it's called, again, Whistling Vivaldi. Vivaldi. It's a great book. It's an eye-opener. I encourage you to have conversations about race, just like we're doing right now. I think not all of us know each other. Look how comfortable we are to share a lot about our own experiences. This is a very unique, thing that we have here that we can open up and be like at home. So thank you, and we hope to bring you some more in the future. Appreciate your time.